increase the number of stakes you have, and as many times as you can, you have to make sure that you choose option 2, increase the number of tickets and become part of the Ghana Month celebration, a special cash out edition for Ghana Month right here on TV3 New Day. You get to win as many times as you can, thousands of Ghana cedis, courtesy of the great programming we undertake to make sure that we're able to give you all the best strengths. And then Araba Sigua Money, you also say you are hearing us, no problem at all. Bless of the Stevens Hotel in the Volta Regional Capital Hall, you say you were hearing as well. And Raffle Osebunsu in Kumasi also was hearing. All of you who tend to watch us, we're also grateful. Please make sure that you share the stream. We have some great conversations this morning. And for all those who have joined us this morning, we have some of the best people who have joined us this morning. So make sure that you also are part of the conversation. I have legal practitioner or a lawyer, Hamza Soheyeni. He's joined us. Good morning to you, Hamza.
Good morning.
I hope that you had you started the week very well as well.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then also we have Solomon Owusu, my discoverer of the year or discovery of the year for 2024. That man is just vociferous. He's not only a politician, but also an entrepreneur in his own right. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And it's good that we're coming to talk about the outcomes of the National Economic Dialogue, 2 days of great conversations thereof. And, a man who also has achieved so much, not only in his personal life, but also in academia, impacting knowledge, and then also as one of the leading consultants, not only in Ghana, but across the world on geopolitics, the politics of the times. He's a lecturer with the political science department of the University of Ghana as well, and an alumnus of studied in universities across Northern America, Canada especially. He's here, Dr. Joshua Zato. Good morning to you. How do you pronounce your second name?
Jebuntie.
Jebuntie.
Yes.
That's from where exactly?
I'm from Tumu in the Upper West region.
Fantastic.
That means I'm a Sisala. I'll tell you something about Jebuni. Jebuni is one of the gods that, you could say gods, shrines that is kind of popular in the whole of Northern Ghana. It's among the Gonjas, it's among the Salais, it's among, so you can see the name Jebuni among them. In the Dark Ages, Jebuni was the god of war. It was it's an anti-witchcraft launcher, it's a god of war, and powerful families have Jebuni.
And you were named after the god?
I'm named Jebuni. So my name Jebuni was not picked from the Quran or the Bible, nothing, no. When they gave birth to me, my father went to the soothsayer. The soothsayer consulted the gods and the ancestors. The gods and the ancestors revealed the name to me. The name was held secret until the 7th day it was given to me. In the olden days too, in the Dark Ages, if you wanted to sacrifice Jebuni, you needed the head of either a Gonja man or a Kasina man. These two were very important.
You are Sisala.
I'm a Sisala.
And you have to go for a Gonja man.
Or a Kasina man's head to come and sacrifice Jebuni.
In the old time?
Yes. So that's why we are called Nyeburi.
Nyeburi.
Head cutters. So we used to cut the hairs of Gonjas and Kasina. Today, the Gonjas and the Kasinas are proud. One of them is a president.
You know
it's a long story.
You know the reason why I allow this? Because we're in the period of Ghana.
No, it's true. It's true.
And we need this sort of education. You know, for many of the times, the young generation, Gen Z, etc., they don't know our history. And because now we've become settlers, travelers, migrants, we tend to lose our history as well. But we're very much conversant with
the traditions, the way that's going.
History, and then
you have brought someone whose name was gotten from a soothsayer.
It's not gotten from a soothsayer, no, that's to say. The soothsayer inquired from the gods and the ancestors.
It was revealed. We are certain with the spirit. In fact, how can we do this? A mini god.
You are fine, you'll be fine.
You know where you are going to do.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you're scared of that, use the Joshua, but don't use the Jebuntie. Use the Jebuntie. Don't Jebuntie. Exactly. Now, when you call me Jebuntie, I shake, but it's like it means you know me too much.
Okay.
So don't let me just say Joshua, then I go with
that. Okay. Thank you for joining us. Jebuntie, the head cutter.
Yes.
The Gonja or Kasanama head cutter. Very important. You must specify. I don't touch that.
Tradition and culture, and you can't get it other than oral tradition. And the media also helps us. Vivian Mante of the Volta River Authority. Good morning to you as well. Chief Mante as well. And a very beautiful lady friend of mine is celebrating the birthday. Nana Mapukia. I always mention your name, Accra. And I always say the happy birthday to you, the beautiful Nana Mapukia. But in the meantime, the outcome of the dialogue, etc., we'll be discussing that. But let me quickly, just in 2 minutes. And you know, the speaker says that comment that was made about Dr. Zaneto Rawlings, their father being a murderer, etc. You know that we still can't find that voice. Let me just replay, then I'll ask you some question. Just listen to this.
Daughter of murderer, sit down. Daughter of murderer, sit down. It's me. That's evidence. Papa Kunipa. Papa Kunipa. Daughter of murderer. Daughter of murderer, sit down. Daughter of murderer, sit down. It's me. That's evidence. Papa Kunipa.
Now, the speaker says there should be investigation into this, etc. Just 2 minutes. What do you make of the comments in itself, the speaker's position currently, or should we just let it go?
Good morning to our cherished viewers, of course, to my colleagues on the show. Roland, we simply cannot afford to let this slide. They have been quite consistent, especially when it comes to parliamentary practice, that parliament is an institution of law. Yeah. And they must be seen upholding those principles. It shouldn't be difficult for Parliament to produce the dishonorable MP who made those remarks.
Dishonorable?
Of course.
Because
we have standards, we have rules, we have regulations when it comes to conduct in Parliament. And even for you to even shout from across the aisle, once you have a leader of the House addressing the House, it's clearly dishonorable. And it is time we started holding these guys to account for their actions. I have had on numerous occasions, I've had cause to say that when it comes to the image of this country, the responsibility is not just on the president and his ministers, and to a very large extent, the foreign affairs minister. Indeed, even members of parliament are ambassadors of the republic. Their conduct has serious consequences on our national image, both locally and internationally. And that is the reason why we must be concerned about their conduct, both in that house and outside that house.
It is in Parliament?
Yes, whether in Parliament or outside Parliament, if you're a member of Parliament, we expect in the very least some responsibility from you. Because at that stage, you are not just an ordinary citizen of this country, but you have been tasked with the citizens of this country to perform a certain role in their stead. And that is why you must demonstrate enormous responsibility as a member of Parliament. So we should not accept the fact that it is difficult to find the person who made those remarks. Parliament is full of cameras. Indeed, even if the cameras fail to capture the person, I want to believe that whether from the majority or minority side, we have some responsible people in there who would be candid and put the national interest and our quest to ensure that we rid our public institutions of characters of that sort. And they will put it ahead of their parochial partisan interest and be bold enough to say that, look, even though we belong to one political party, this is the gentleman who made those unfortunate comments. And we can begin to take some responsibility. So it is not enough for a speaker to tell us that it's becoming difficult for them.
Not enough even for the speaker to say that it's becoming difficult.
No, it is not acceptable. From where I sit, it is not an explanation we should accept. They must produce the said MP. They must subject him to some level of punishment to serve as a deterrent to other MPs. Look, it is not only Ghanaians who monitor our parliamentary proceedings. Even the diplomatic community, they do. The international community, they monitor our multilateral partners. We must be interested in the conduct of that house. So this is unacceptable. The explanation is one we should not accept as a country. They must do all within their power to produce that person. And I'm sure if it was a citizen of this country who had made certain unpalatable remarks about Parliament, they would have found ways to produce the said person.
Before the privileges
committee. And that's why I've always said that, look, possibly, maybe, probably, Parliament is failing to appreciate the role of that privileges committee. It is not just a privilege unto Parliament. It is also an invitation for both citizens of this country and parliamentarians to demonstrate fidelity to the rules of this country and to principles enshrined, most importantly, in democratic governance. So it shouldn't be seen working when they are dealing with people or citizens who are not members of Parliament, where they use it as a backing door to make it difficult for even citizens to criticize the conduct of Parliament. They themselves must be willing and ready to subject themselves to that privileges committee, because it is a requirement when it comes to parliamentary practices. So at least let me use this platform to appeal to the Speaker that the search shouldn't be over. He must demonstrate his passion and love for that institution, especially knowing him. He's been there since 92, I guess.
Yes.
And he's been a formidable force when it comes to parliamentary democracy. He should not allow this to slide, because it would constitute a dent when it comes to his leadership. He must do everything within his power to produce a said individual for us. Sometimes even just shaming can correct people. The fact that Ghanaians know that this is the dishonorable man who made those unacceptable comments probably would be enough. So let us do everything within our power to help the processes to uncover that dishonorable MP and at least deal with him as he should be.
So now we've come to the point where we have live streaming of events. There was Afenyo Makin who was speaking and even tried to scold the person to say, hey, or something like that. On their side, there were people around.
Yes.
And on the other side, there were people who directly could see whoever was making. Of course, in the video that we have, the lens is only capturing Afenyo Makin and not the speaker. How is it possible that at this point, nobody is found as being the culprits of the one who made those comments against Zaneto Rollins?
So first of all, we have a lot of cowards in the parliament.
Cowards?
Yeah, they are all cowards. Because all those that were in the chamber that day knows the person that uttered that word. And if I were the one that made that statement, I should be able to defend that statement. Yes. If I said you were a daughter of a murderer, and I have a strong conviction about that statement, I will own up and say, yes, you are a daughter of a murderer, and because of A, B, C. But we have cowards, Afenyo. Everybody that was there knows the person that uttered those words. But I'm not interested in search because, you know, recently, vetting committee, chaos erupted. They said they were doing what? Committee. What has come of it? Nothing. They only... I
don't understand. You're saying that they already have set a bad precedent?
They don't have any moral authority to be setting further committees to be looking into anything. We watched it live. Vetting where MPs decided to destroy microphones, destroy tables, chairs. We were told that a committee was going to be set up. When we had seen everything, Speaker did something to save the situation, suspended some of them. Immediately they went to sit in, they went and begged, and then he said, oh, he has rescinded it. This is what sort of democracy are we building? And after that, you see the chaos all over the place. They are learning from the leaders in parliament. So whether or not he's going to set up any committee, he's not going to end up anywhere. At the end of the day, it will be you and I, our tax revenue, that will go down the drain. The last time I heard the speaker say that he was going to investigate into the MP who is alleged to be involved in Galamsey. What has the speaker got to do with such situations? If someone is involved in Galamsey, mind you, it's an illegality. We don't set committees to look into an illegality. You rather prompt the laws to work.
The institutions of state.
Absolutely. Refer the matter to the police, to the national security, and so on and so forth. Investigate the person. If the person is culpable, then you deal with the person. You don't tell me you are sitting in parliament to investigate an MP who is allegedly engaging in Galamsey. What capacity has the speaker got to be able to determine that someone is going to go to the forest with the parliamentarians? We must excuse and then let them begin to behave. People have destroyed state properties. You said you were going to deduct from their salary. Since they're shame, nobody knows about what has happened. Those that took part in that enterprise, they are going about making statements. They think all of us are forgotten. Because in this country, we are told that we all have forgetful what? We are all...
forgetful.
Forgetful syndrome. Is that not the case? So within a day or two, we forget about everything. And so I'm not in support of it. You know,
how would you describe the comment that was made?
Well, for me, I don't know the basis for which the person made it. Because I have heard some people, for instance, Black Rasta, say that yes, he agrees with the statement. That indeed, he is a daughter of a murderer. That's why I wanted the person that made it to come out boldly
and justify.
If you believe in the statement,
not hide behind
that coward, you go and make statement. The whole parliament there, you know the person that made it. Now you want to play diplomacy. Even Zanato knows the person that made the statement.
I don't understand.
Oh, she knows it.
Zanato.
Oh, she knows. And she was sitting right there. She was sitting right there. And so why don't you come out and say that this man made it? And so that we discuss it. If at the end of the day, it's not true that she is a daughter of a murderer, then the person has to face the consequences of it. If it is true, then we move it becomes part of our history. By leaving it hanging like that and all of us beating about the bush, when we know the person that made the statement, is neither here nor there.
Now, introduce our next guest.
By the way, have you left the MPP? Because you were a member of the...
no, he comes in as an expert.
No, but let us also declare identity.
Please, but he comes in as an expert.
No, it's very important.
So, these kind of ambush things...
No, it is not ambush.
It's not the first time on this platform, TV3, that he has to clarify himself as Dr. Zato.
That is it.
We bring him here as a lecturer.
But he's a member of the MPP.
A lecturer. There's nothing wrong
with a member
of the MPP.
I am just... It's a cap in it further.
Please. No. He's not here as a member of the MPP. And editorially,
yes,
we invited him, and I
no,
don't.
No,
Mr. Solomon.
But I want to let me establish something. Let me establish something.
Listen to me.
I made a statement.
Please listen.
So you don't even want to listen to me?
No, I won't listen to you.
Aha.
This will be the.
Joshua would explain.
You Joshua, the Bible one.
He is Joshua now.
Oh.
And Joshua, it's a friendly, and I'm asking whether he is still with my former party. This is a harmless. It doesn't mean that he cannot make, but he's doing the right thing if indeed he's a member of the MPP and come here to espouse his ideas and principles.
Okay, Solo, I apologize to you for cutting you.
Absolutely. Thank you for apologizing.
Your question is legitimate. However, as the host, I have to say that we invited him here.
No, I don't have a problem. I even need him here because he's going to enrich the discourse. But I was only asking whether he has left the MPP that he at a point contested as a parliamentary in the parliament. You understand?
These are the common part. And if you already 4 years ago, you say Roland Pa and Roland Walker, what are you defending? That's zealous Dwayne.
I have a difficulty with what.
Now, Dr. Zato, when I first watched him, of course, I like his exposition and disposition.
But you know him
he explained.
Roland, but you are not his spokesperson. It's a harmless question.
Okay. Dr. Zato,
I don't have. I don't understand people.
Please respond to this. So then you answer the question about the Zaneto. Please go ahead.
You will laugh the whole day. You go explain to
I'm so happy. I'm so happy this morning. I'm so happy. And I like what I did. Okay, I don't owe you my response. I want to you. They say one of the cardinal values of the American political system is a statement that they often make. They say their aim is to what is called towards a more perfect union. Americans strive to build a more perfect union. That is a union that has lasted for over 200 years. 200 years. I'm coming. Oh, but before I realize...
Is it a response to the Zaneto...
yes, okay. That's what I'm addressing.
We have Dr. Austin Game on the line from Game and Game Associates. He'll be helping us with the economic dialogue discussion. Good morning to you, Dr. Game. Dr. Game, good morning. Dr. Game, good morning.
Good morning, Roland. Thank you for making me a doctor.
Oh, okay. If you are not, an honorary Dr. Game, good morning. Just in jest.
I'm great.
Okay. Okay. So we'll come to you on the National Economic Dialogue.
Okay. So first, before I start, let me say, I want to say good morning to all my friends and family members in Tumum, in Wallinja, in Sake, in Chalong, in Ping, and all over the places in the sisterland land who are listening to me. Mepama kalama diamadiapana, Madeyako, Mayarafiela. Vejampala kala yarfiela, vejampala dulung. Apala lenin kudili apala kula kala la si chachi one day. Manana mangana mabi manan wala jabunti mohan hala labulwiade masafiasan. Malalan Haname, we Makalasa Soluapame, Namu. Coming back to that, so we always have a saying, the Americans have a popular saying that their whole aspiration as Americans is to strive towards a more perfect union. And every American citizen there knows that whatever you do, whatever you strive to do, it is towards building this perfect union. That is what gave JFK the power to say that thing, know what your country do for you, what you can do for your country. When we look at that, then we realize that nation building is a step by step, that everybody comes, they do their part and they go.
What's the
if
point?
we adhere to that, we will stop bastardizing past leaders. We will stop criminalizing past leaders. We will stop whenever we had the opportunity to think that the people who came before us were that bad and we are good. Ali Mazrui is one of the best, greatest politicians, historians who ever lived, scholars of history. He was here in Ghana Ghana at 50. He gave a lecture. Ali Mazrui argued that Kwame Nkrumah and Jerry John Rawlings are almost similar. He said Kwame Nkrumah started as a Democrat, ended up as a dictator. Okay. Rawlings started as a dictator, ended up as a Democrat. But in all that they did, they contributed their bit to the country we have today. And we must take them for all theirs. We must take Kwame Nkrumah for his dictatorship and for his nation building, and we must also accept Rawlings for his dictatorship and nation building. People died under Kwame Nkrumah and people died under Jerry John Rawlings. The history is kind to these two individuals. So much so that Nkrumah is named as the best African that ever lived. History is kind to him because history tends to look at the good things you have done. Jerry John Rawlings, history is kind to him, and history will be nice to him because of what he did. Above everything else, that this democracy we are enjoying, we can. That he played a part in it. But if as a people, we can just stop what we do, if as presidents, whenever we come to power new, we stop bastardizing, we stop making it look like nothing good happened to the guy who just left office. If we could just do that, and then tell people that, look, the people before me did their best. I've come to continue. If we can only do that, if as finance ministers in our first or second budgets, we could only say, look, yes, the reality is that the people that came before me did their best, but that we have not can do best. If we can see the good in others, if we can see the good in our political opponents, if we can see the good in the people that came before us, if we can do that, then this negative vile acts will not happen. Then nobody will have the opportunity to, because when you say
What's
that...
the point with this? I gave you 2 minutes to do
My point is this. Jerry John Rawlings had his good and his bad. Nevertheless, he helped to build the country we know today.
What do you make of the comment?
It is vile. It has no place in that house. And that's what I'm saying. There were other
what's the synonym?
It's wrong. Vile, we find, I don't know. I'm saying it's vile, it's wrong, it's dishonorable. It doesn't belong there. But the point is this. We've been saying this before. We've been saying similar things. He just mentioned it. We've had presidents stand on that podium, bastardize, chastise their predecessors. We've had finance, we've had people do that. And my point is that you cannot ignore all that and just try to pick up only this one.
Yeah.
You can't do that, because when you do that, the dishonor and the deceit comes into place. Don't fake a certain, why do you do this when others' ways have passed? If you want to be that, it's not fair.
All right. I think Solo's question triggered all this.
No, but a quick one. You see, if we must see the good in our previous administrators, we must also see the bad in them. You understand? That is all that I want to say. If someone did something that was wrong yesterday, you must be able to say it.
On the table here, this comment
it is not accurate that presidents have used that same platform to cast innuendos as vile as this. No president under the 1992 Constitution or under the 4th Republican Constitution has made such statements using Parliament. He should give us an example of one. You see, sometimes this is what constitutes the problem of this country, Roland. Our inability to single out events and condemn it as it should be and try to cloud it under some so-called disguise of nationalism by brushing everybody with the same paint of objectivity or neutrality defined by us. When something is wrong, it is wrong. Today we are dealing with a dishonorable member of parliament from the side of the minority who made comments that all of us consider vile, dishonorable, and insulting. Let us concentrate on that and condemn that person. Let us not try to give it a nationalistic occurrence. trying to beat the effect of these unacceptable statements down by saying that, oh, but it happens in the House. That is unacceptable. Doc, this is what we are dealing with. It is that level of hypocrisy that is crippling this country. Our inability to stand up where we are expected to stand up. And it is nauseating, to say the least, in all honesty. What kind of attempt why are we trying to bring down the effect of this statement? Why? For what? To what end?
So, you wanted to say something.
So clearly, what you were saying,
Dr.
Zato, I can liken it to what has happened recently. That
you think he's trying to equalize it?
Equalize it.
Absolutely.
That, people are bastardizing the erstwhile administration of their deeds. Indeed, I cannot look at the $58 million whole, sitting there and go and praise President Kufuor and Nana Bawumia.
I don't understand.
How can I see a hole like that when people are poor, when Keta waves are washing away houses, and you say I should go and praise Nana Kufuor? I won't do that. So if someone calls the former president out, the person is right. When I'm a president and I come in and see that ECG has left a debt of 68 billion, you want me to keep quiet and say, you did well? When we know that SkyTrain, $2 million, shrimp is gone, and you say I should come and pray shrimp? When I know that national service nails have been padded, and they are chilling with my money, and he said when I come in as a president, I should come and praise the... I
think what Dr. Dawson says, call the bad, call the good.
You say we should only call the good and stop name calling. No, we have to. We have to. Why they did good, say it. So why they got it wrong, say it.
You are even... Look, the Constitution says State of the Nation address.
Is everything inclusive?
Is everything inclusive?
They've said so.
but Mr. Osingame is still on there.
No, but they've gone twice, so don't have the right to go to.
Okay, Dr. Osingame wants to.
I like the fact that.
I give you a minute.
I like the fact that there's this hyperventilation on the other part. All of a sudden, we can just President Akufo-Addo ventilation on the other side to try to make it look. The point I'm making, and I want to restate it, and I want to state it there. Nation building belongs to all of us, and that every leader, everybody that has ever ruled this country, either as president or minister of state, you've had your good and you've had your bad. That statement, that comment was wrong for Jerry John Rawlings, for somebody to say that. I've said that. But that we have seen worse and similar things there. And that when you are going on this haystack, trying to make it look like this is the only thing that has outraged you. Nana Akufo-Addo was in that house there one day to give his final State of the Union address. There was a response. If you speak to other people on the other side of the that response was personal. So personal that the first lady of the Republic had to personally intervene to think that the husband was being taken advantage of. She says it was personal. No, I'm saying she says it was personal. The point that they're making is that in the nation, the comment is in the record. The statement.
It was in the history of the country. In the country, he's the West leader.
The question.
How is that, Dr.
Somebody took it personal. I'm saying that somebody. I'm saying that. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not trying to play with. I'm not playing any question. All I'm simply saying, we must all say it here that statements have been made in that house that probably have no place or that have no place in the hazard, and that bad, wrong statements have been made. This is one of them. And we must acknowledge that. My point is that no matter how much you hyperventilate, that's the most statements were made in that house. And they were wrong. And that unless and until we then begin to say that there's good in everyone, there's bad in everyone, and that whenever those statements are there, we should eschew them and try to aspire to a more national dialogue, a more constructive dialogue. That is the only way we're going to do. But this will happen. It will happen again. This is not the only statement. I can put it on record here that one day will come here again. Somebody else in that house will make a similar statement. They will do that.
Dr. Medra.
So somebody else in that house will make that statement.
How do you equate the statement, Dr. Medra, to you are the West president?
I'm not equating it. I'm not equating them.
I'm saying, am I not supposed to answer your question?
You asked the question, but I'm telling you, I'm not equating. You assume that I'm equating. I'm not.
That's what precisely you did.
You are assuming I'm equating. I'm not. I'm stating different facts.
Okay. Mr. Osingame, the organized labor and the forces behind organized labor say 70% of all the outcome of the national dialogue needs to be enforced. In the first place, the National Economic Dialogue was called because we need to do a lot of introspection. We've done that introspection. How do we make sure that we don't go by the same things we've been doing? Just organize meetings, have great ideas in blueprints and then stack them in the shelves?
Grateful. Thank you for the invitation.
You can comment on the daughter of a Medra comment if you want to abstain, so that's fine.
Yes, I will abstain. It's an issue. It's a raging issue. Maybe we'll find time for it one day. But let me say that it's important that we take seriously issues that are raised in the media, as you are doing now. I participated actively in the Senchi dialogue. I was even invited to participate in the implementation committee. So I am pleased that the same president invited people to this dialogue again. I saw organized labor, led by the Secretary General himself there. And therefore, I was not surprised yesterday that he called for implementation of between 70 to 80% of the dialogue outcomes. I think it's a welcome and a refreshing commendation on those who participated in the dialogue. So yes, I will urge government to take it seriously, because if you have an organized labor calling upon you to implement the outcome of a dialogue, what it means is that they are ready to cooperate with you. And so we need sound labor management relations, and also creating an enabling environment for investment, for people to be employed, for the economy to grow, and for all of us to have some relief. And therefore, it's most refreshing and welcome news that organized labor is calling for implementation of the outcome of the dialogue. And indeed, if you heard the Minister of Finance, he made it clear that implementation begins now. And he said, among others, that they'll find space in the budget that will be read on the 11th of March. So we're waiting for the budget to be read, and I look forward to actively participating in making all this workable.
Now, if we have to make sure that the outcomes are implemented, there are key issues that we need to take a look at. How do we create the employment for the over 14.7% of the unemployed Ghanaians, and then create the necessary environment for industry to thrive? Because we cannot be having only the public sector employing people.
Certainly not. There is an optimum level beyond which we cannot go, because that itself would scatter the fiscal space that we have and create unnecessary problem, just as an attempt was made to overload the public sector through some kind of employment arrangement that is inappropriate. But having said so, I think that following all that have been said at the dialogue sessions, if we can implement, indeed, I join hands with the organized labor to say the same. If you can implement between 70 to 80% of the agreements reached, obviously, what will happen is we should be able to narrow down extensively the unemployment kind of situation we find ourselves in the country. I strongly believe that. And also, it should be understood that apart from the public sector, private sector actively participated in the program and came out with high creative and innovative kind of state. Among others was the issue about ensuring that performance management system is fully in place in Ghana, and that people are paid based on productivity, and that we should lift up ourselves from the doldrums in which we find ourselves. Complaining is over. We have to work. Yesterday is gone. We are in another day.
Yeah.
And so anything that was done yesterday that is incorrect, let's put it behind us and move forward steadily. And I think that if we do that, particularly so when we have a president that has a strong political will, knowing that he has a legacy, 4-year legacy in front of him, he wants to achieve. And we should all support him. The polarization in the country must be put to bed, and all of us must work together, regardless of so-called partisan political considerations.
If, let's say, the MPP side, because they didn't participate, a question is raised or a comment or observation is made that it takes something out of the whole composition of the dialogue and the event and the outcome in itself, would that be a good or bad observation?
Well, I would take nothing away from them. Like I said, I was in Senchi with the legendary Kwame Pianin, Professor Ade, and many other people from the MPP stock who actively participated. Similarly, we had the same Kwame Pianin, many other people I knew from the MPP stock who were present, like the former governor of Bank of Ghana, Paul Akua, who chaired the macroeconomics session. I think that people should learn from history, though they did not participate in the Senchi dialogue. They benefited from the Senchi dialogue because the IMF tranche, the last tranche, was taken by the last administration and used. In the same vein, they went to IMF. The last tranche will be benefited by this present government. And so it's immaterial. The Constitution of Ghana was done by some people. Some people are quoting it today, though they didn't participate. So it doesn't really matter too much. We should close our eyes, if you like the word, to pretend as if they participated. And let's implement what has been agreed on. Doesn't really matter.
I like that. Sounds more nationalistic. But look, we are where we are. We cannot say we can't talk about the past, but of course there needs to be a recollection of the immediate past to be able to forge forward. The question then will be, what really is confronting the government for which the outcomes of these national dialogues would resolve?
What is confronting government is simply economic crisis and the responsibility to revive our economy and put it one more time on a path to economic prosperity. For me, these are the two indicators that we must pay attention to. It is not hidden to Ghanaians that this economy has been in crisis for some years now. Duly influenced by the reckless management of the economy. And to be very nationalistic here, though the last 8 years has been somehow troubling in terms of any comparative analysis with previous governments, but you simply cannot make an honest appreciation of our economic situation without having to raise legitimate concerns about the conduct of all previous administrations. In one way or the other, we have all played roles in bringing us to this stage, especially when it comes to the economic management. Fortunately, we in the NDC have a president who is more forward-looking. And I'm glad that Mr. Austin Gami has made reference to that. Because this is not the first time we are organizing a national economic dialogue. When he was confronted with slump in commodity prices between 2013 to 2014, and that had serious implications on our macroeconomic indicators, that was the time President Mahama thought it prudent to bring to an end the age-old cycle of governments coming, pretending to work in the medium term, privileging their political interests above the national interest. I think it was that thinking that informed the decision to go to Senchi, because he thought that the only way to privilege national interest is to guarantee even the opposition parties then that as president he was ready to bite the bullet regardless of the political implications in terms of implementation of those policies. And you remember the infamous statement that I'm a dead goat, that our opponents decided to use as a political football. President Mahama was simply saying that I know that in trying to make such necessary changes to our economic fundamentals, I may not be that attractive politically. I may not be able to win an election. But in one way or the other, Roland, in our various rooms, we agree. And we even out publicly, we hold discussions to the effect that the only way we'll get this country right is if we get a president who is ready to go 110 and damn all the political consequences and do the painful decisions.
Are you then saying that Ghanaians should be ready for some hard, painful, cold fact decisions?
Absolutely.
I see.
Because we are dealing with a president with that track record. And that's why I made references to Senchi. He had to take bold decisions, and he did. And for many of us in the NDC, we all saw the political cost, because we lost the last election. President Mahama understood that the nation was more paramount than our parochial political interests as a political party. And that the only way the NDC will remain relevant in the politics of this country is for us to champion that discourse once more by privileging national interests over and above our partisan interests. And he led that charge. We lost in the election as a result of the decisions we took. But remember, Roland, even at the time he was leaving office, our debt stood at 122 billion.
Yeah.
Inflation was about 15.4%.
Yeah.
Youth unemployment was around 8.4% or thereabouts. He left a sinking fund of about $250 million, Ghana Infrastructure Fund about $270 million, and also left ESLA proceeds for the new government because of the prudent manner in which he managed resources, and ended doing so. Despite the massive investment he did in doing so, to bring doing so to an end in terms of our energy sector, he still left that much for the new administration. Ghana was not struggling to pay its local and foreign debts. Indeed, we were not declared as a junk economy at the time he was leaving. But Ghanaians still considered the economic conditions there then as unacceptable. And I know you agree with me. Probably that was why we lost also. Today, we are living under a situation where this country has been declared bankrupt. We have sat down with our domestic and external debtors, and we have negotiated a debt restructuring with them because of our inability to pay our debts. Inflation is around 22 to 23% as we speak. Our public debt stands at 721 billion. Our state enterprises are hugely indebted. Cocoa board to the tune of about 32 billion. The energy sector, we are owing close to about $2 billion, 70 billion Ghana cedis. These are the realities of the economy. This is an economy that has been locked out of the credit market. So you need no angel to tell you that Ghana has gotten to a stage where we need to sit down collectively as a nation to define the next stage of progress. And that is why this dialogue was critical. And I am happy listening to the finance minister, because he has indicated that the recommendations will be his Bible. Everybody knows that the problem with this country has always been over expenditure. Because we spend more than we produce, and our public sectors are not working at their optimal best. Their inability to rake in revenue, they all run at losses. There's the need for us to change that trajectory. And we have a president who is willing to take those hard decisions to transform this country. And for me, that's what gladdens my heart. All what I need to say is that Ghanaians will rise up, because undoubtedly, in every political dispensation, if you have a government that is willing to do the right thing, you are likely to have the opposition party take advantage of the political temperature to pursue mischief. Ghanaians should look out.
They are supposed to put the government in check.
I don't have a problem with putting the government in check. That is why I use the word mischief. They will take advantage to pursue political mischief. Ghanaians should look out for that mischief and know that it is intended to distract us in our bid to restructure our economy. But we need their support. And I'm hoping that that support will be given to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and the new government to pursue these policies that at the end of the day will inure to the benefit of all of us as a country, even to that of the New Patriotic Party. But finally, in terms of their failure to attend as a political grouping, I know that regardless of the fact that they did not attend, we all know the positions they hold when it comes to the economy, and they are thinking. Unfortunately, we had the opportunity of living under their leadership for the last 8 years. We need no person to tell us about their economic views or position. So we know, and I'm sure that President Mahama and the NDC would factor that in terms of coming out, implementation as far as these documents are concerned. And we should not shelve the recommendations. Because if you look at the recommendations, Roland, far-reaching, look, it resolves the issues of political implications on economic development and the vice versa. And if we're able to religiously pursue the recommendations, I can assure you that this country within the next 4 or 5 years should see itself turning a corner that would be satisfying to all of us.
Solo, going by the recommendations of this dialogue, for which even Labour says 70% at least should be implemented, we need drastic decisions that need to be taken by the President, John Dramani Mahama, right? And which should those be?
Yes, first of all, let me say that the government did not invite the movement for change, which was announced. It was.
You were not invited.
We were not invited.
Gaduji said they would do that.
I wonder how they will be able to have a meaningful deliberation without the movement for change.
But are you sure you've checked with your secretary?
No, I am speaking of as a senior member of the movement. I cannot be churning out information that I don't have. Let me say also that the dialogue started on Monday and it ended on Tuesday. So what they are telling us is that they identified all the problems of the country on Monday, proposed solutions on Tuesday. That cannot be.
I don't understand. What do you mean by that? Is it not possible?
It's not possible. It's not possible. They are creating the impression as though they already have the answers, they already have their written recommendations, and what took place at the International Conference Center was just for the optics, and I don't want to go with optics because though we were not invited, I took the trouble of going there myself to listen to the finance minister, to listen to the president. Let me also say that the solution to our problem starts from that room. Going forward, we must begin to buy made in Ghana, eat made in Ghana, dream made in Ghana, breathe made in Ghana. That's it. Absolutely. I checked the room on that day. About 85% of the people that graced the occasion, they were all in foreign suits. You have stripped the money out. The breakfast they served, I checked. Foreign foods. You are stripping the money out. So the only solution that confronts the president is to look straight into those that finances our political activities and tell them that enough is enough. This time around, we will not be importing so much rice. We will not be importing so much sugar. We will not be importing so much tomatoes. And that if you really and truly love this country, come and produce it in this country. That is the bane of our problems. Now, how is it that as a country we import close to $100 million worth of tomatoes from Burkina? How is it? I mean, you have to convince
a Sahelian country.
A Sahelian country. When we had implemented what we call planting for food, rearing for food, and so on and so forth. Close to $300 million into the importation of frozen foods. And all these things, if you give it to the SSS graduate to write about the problems and solutions of this country, it is in the course 101.
Course 1?
Course 101. Everybody knows from secondary school to university, it's a course 101. All of them know, yet the political will, and that political will is not there because of those that finances our political activity.
The political will?
Yes.
What should that political will translate into in terms of hard decisions?
Yeah, the president must close his eyes and say that, for instance, this school feeding, under no circumstance, this secondary school that we are feeding them, that we will import a single grain of rice from outside this country.
No China, no Vietnam,
no China, no
Thailand,
Vietnam. Because
no India.
we are mostly in this country, we have Western North, we have a Avema in this country, suitable lands for the production of rice. Bono and all. So why must anybody think of importing rice into this country? Why? And that is where the problem is. You don't need extraordinary GDP, NMP, QPP. These are all jargons. It doesn't bring food. Last time I said the agric minister must not be wearing suit, they took issues with it. People must go down there and work. Give the money to the locals. Make sure that your extension officers, your agronomists, everyone is working. We give them the necessary input. And after that, we find the market for them. This school feeding, it's a beautiful concept. The whole idea was that in catchment areas, farmers over there will be feeding the schools with their produce.
They become the outgrowers.
Absolutely.
And suppliers of food.
That is it.
Creating local economy.
How can we have such a beautiful concept and it's not implemented? The president used the occasion to tell us a very sad story. And I was wondering why he couldn't go ahead to mention a name and shame. That a procurement. And this was told by the president last Monday, that someone, the country undertook a procurement. Now, say, Roland, you are the supplier of that particular product.
Roland Incorporated.
Yeah, Roland Incorporated. You came to see the buying entity that I have the goods. I'm ready to sell it to you at 4,500. They said, no, they won't give it to Roland. Then Hamza comes into the equation. Hamza Incorporated. And said, I would rather supply it. He gives it to us at 6,500 and goes to Roland to buy it at 4,000 and makes a profit of 21 million. This was told by the president. President, please, you have to go further by mentioning a name.
Cold, hard facts.
Hard facts.
Name and shame.
Name and shame.
You're saying you should take
if you come and tell me this story, that means you are afraid of confronting the status quo.
No, please. Allow him to talk.
That's not true.
Allow him to talk.
But the president told us without telling us names.
No. You see, Roland, this is important.
Yes.
Please, Roland, this is important.
Please.
Just quickly. Roland,
You want to chip in something? Let
yes,
chip.
yes, Roland, this is important. The president is not a judge. He's not an investigative person. These are views that he has found in reading that document.
Yeah, you shouldn't have told us.
No, a responsible president can express his frustrations about the contents of a review that he has made publicly. But he should not go as far as mentioning the name
because
of
they
the
go against the tenets of the rule of law.
Because it goes against the tenets of the rule of law. So if his failure to do so doesn't mean that he's afraid or he's just apologize and let's move. Take it out. President, you cannot say on the basis of that.
The president should come back.
The position of Solo is that the president made a statement. He should have name and shame.
Yes.
And he also says, he says by the tenets of the rule of law,
he is not
it is not. Please continue.
So the truth. What am I supposed to apologize on?
No, please, let's not waste it. There are others who are there. There's Dr. Zato who has.
So the president told this story. I thought that was a serious matter. That he should go further for us to even investigate, because he said he's reviewing a number of procurement breaches. For the president to have made that determination that he found something wrong, which on the face of it I also find something wrong. That as the supplier, I came to you that I had those products for 4,500. Even with that, I was going to make profit.
And thereby we create more jobs.
Exactly. That you come in and charge 6,500 and take away 21 million Ghana cedis. Why wouldn't you be poor?
Which other things should we be doing?
No, beyond that,
the president needs to.
He has to deal with the issue of corruption. It's a major issue. OSP declares Ken Ofori-Atta a fugitive, declares him wanted. The next day he's set free. Have you heard anybody speak about it again?
No, he's not set free.
What is happening now?
He's not declared again a fugitive. Again, Lawyer Hamza's point comes in. Rule of law.
Rule of what? So at the time he was declaring fugitive, there wasn't rule of law. At the time he was declaring him wanted, there wasn't any rule of law. And the next day that he said he's no more wanted, there wasn't any rule of law. You see, if we don't confront these issues, look at what is happening at the National Service. All of a sudden, it is the lady over there alone that everyone is chasing. Was that lady alone working there? We had chief executive officer. What's the name of them? Executive directors or so. From Yusuf Mustafa to Asibe. Nobody is mentioning their names. Only this young lady. That everyone is putting all the blames on her. As though she single-handedly can cause the system to inflate the numbers up to 81,000. If we were that serious, this is a syndicated crime that has to be investigatory.
So corruption is a serious bane.
That is the bane, the number one bane across board. Taking away our money. So I believe that if the president would do that, and if he fails on that, mind you, anytime he mentions the issue of Ora, he receives an applaud. The Ghanaian is reminding him that Mr. President, we went into this election, you promised us that when you come, corruption, it will be you will deal with it fast. But what are we seeing? That is where I want my brother Hamza to understand that this president has no luxury. He has been a former president before. Mind you, after Monday, the onslaught begins. Monday, when the moment the budget is read, that is where we are going to see whether or not there are campaign promises. How many times didn't we come here? Then me and Eduji, he will tell me, he will show his hand. A ball of Kenge, a ball of... It is now going to play out. Whether or not the city will stabilize will be indicated in this budget. Whether or not we will be able to afford all the basic necessities will be indicated, so that when you are a president and you assume office, you must go after those that have taken our money. Because when the budget is read, those people are going to be comfortable as you are being bashed. Meanwhile, it is their deed that is leading us to where we are. I will end it here.
Okay. Dr. Zato, there are key considerations that need to be made. That there's a backlog. There are liabilities that are confronting this government. And as a result of that we're doing all this introspection. And at the end of the day, the political class, civil society, whether it's the media, etc., need to create that space for the cold and hard decisions to be made. Is that a good decision or a question to ask?
Thank you. Let's start on a nationalistic perspective. Personally, I want the president to succeed. I want, because when the president succeeds, Ghana succeeds. That means then that we have to do things that want to succeed, because for the past almost 2 months, the anthem has been, let's bash, let's completely discredit whatever happened. Ghanaians voted. Ghanaians lived in the economy, and they voted massively. They want change. So first of thing, I want to take this to suggest some of the things that I also believe can help to move this country forward. Some of the things that I believe can help the nation develop. Some of the things that I believe can make this government succeed. One, the president has talked about corruption. We've talked about all of this. One of the biggest avenues for corruption in Ghana is procurement. Not only procurement, a single source procurement. When they made the law on procurement, they put a single source option there to deal with specific issues. And everybody knows from both governments, the NDC and BP, that almost every single procurement in Ghana now goes through that whole of single source procurement. Mr. President, you have supermajority in Parliament. Will you commit today to closing that gap? Will you commit to saying that you, because you are against corruption, you will send legislation to that house, and the house will say that from now onwards, every single public service, good or service, that is above 1,000 Ghana cedis must go on competitive bidding. Will you do that?
But it can be evaded, though.
I'm saying, will he do that?
According to the Public Financial Management Act, the public procurement law says that you bring invoices or tenders and submissions.
The point I'm making is that I'm making my point. I'm not fine. It can be evaded. That means that we can also prevent the evasion.
Gotcha.
Will they do that? Will this government say that? Look, I will do that. Can we say, because civil society will clap for it. Everybody that is against corruption will clap for it. I'm putting it on record today here. If you don't close that procurement loophole, corruption will not go anywhere. It will grow wings. The NDC in the next 4 years is going to be looking for a new leader to lead a party after President Mahama. The people who are intending to succeed President Mahama need money. I'll just stop there. They need money. And most of it...
They told you that? I don't understand.
I know, you need money to campaign in this country.
But that's why Solomon Usu is saying that it's the financiers who are causing the problem.
Exactly. So how do you then solve it? So my problem then is that... No, what is the formula for that?
You have free SHS.
No. You are conflated to...
Don't go to Brazil.
I'm making...
Let somebody...
No. Okay, see, you are not getting... So let me make the point, at least. Let me make the point. My point is that one of the ways to deal with that is to stop the associated corruption with procurement. How do you do that? The law has been there for a long time now, and I'm sure we can sit down and say, this is how to do it. And my recommendation is that close the loophole for single source procurement. At least close it as a start. Then every single service, then also that every single government service or contract must be advertised on the GRA website or NPA website. Let all see it. Let us bid so that we can all follow what is happening. Transparency. If the president is committed to corruption, he should champion that as a personal thing. Do you understand? If next year, by this time we sit here, or if I'm here, that doesn't happen, then anything about corruption, everybody will tell you it's just hogwash. It's just hot air. That is one. Two, since we are being nationalistic, let's go to taxes. We know the revenue crunch that is coming. Foreign donation return is drying up. USAID alone is the president has told, what's the name, the finance minister to look for alternatives. We don't have money coming inside. And we also know with the IMF program that we've gone to and others, there's going to be financial crunch. We are being told how much we can only borrow to 250 million. Okay. The question, as I've been, we need to go to look for what? Domestic revenues. We need to get the money from somewhere to carry out the projects and the programs that the government wants to do. At the same time, the president is leaving money on the table. There are taxes that bring revenue. The betting tax, e-levy, and other COVID taxes. They complete this whole. Together, they contribute about 6 billion cedis to the national budget. So it means that the finance minister today, if he looks on his board, he's looking at a whole of almost 6 billion cedis on that whole by these taxes. They said they are going to take them all out. I don't know where the money is going to come. I'm a student of public policy. In public policy, we say there's nothing called policy termination. It means that public policies, once you enact them, they are not terminated. They can be reformed. They can be changed. So now they are given different names. They are put in different uniforms. I think that will happen. That we will be told on paper, on the budget, you will not see e-levy. On the paper, you will not see betting tax. But somewhere buried deep in that budget, a tax percentage will be increased.
But Dr. Somebody has got to pay for something.
So I'm saying the point that why not? Because we can justify these taxes now, saying that we need more internal revenue. My point is that you cannot, on the one hand, be saying that you are going to get, because politically, these taxes have now become an albatross at the neck of the president and the finance minister. They need the revenue. Ghana needs it to do the big and the better things they have to do. You need it. Watch in the budget. Somebody said that they will watch, will scrutinize, and you will see that these taxes will not be removed. Because when you want to make a public policy, it creates an ecosystem of itself. And depending upon how big its beneficiary community is, there are two things about beneficiary communities. Either they are big or powerful. If you have them as big or powerful, that policy will not be terminated. It will rather be moved or changed somewhere. I'm saying that will happen to these taxes. My question is, why don't you be forthright with Ghanaians? You are already saying that the economy is a how do you call it? Economic, criminal manage or whatever. Once you are setting the president,
you don't think that the economy was badly managed?
Okay, let me make the point I'm making. I will come to that. So now, if this economy is that managed and you need money to do the big things you want to do, why are you leaving this money on the table? I will argue that you Ghanaians square up with Ghanaians. Tell them, because this has happened, I cannot do away with e-levy, I cannot do away with this money because we need the money. My friend talked about how
we need e-levy.
We need domestic. We need domestic. We need domestic. It can be changed. I told you it will change. From a policy point of view, it will change.
Take your time.
It will change. I'm taking my time. It will be changed.
No, you have not taken your time.
I have.
Dr.
It will change. Yes.
Is it that you support e-levy in the way, structure, and form in which it is?
I support domestic mobilization of revenue. Okay. E-levy is one of them. These 3-4 taxes together were made to do something specific, to raise revenue. My question is that, will we do away with them? Because the question is that we'll do away with them.
But
so people are expecting, people are expecting that they will be eliminated. I am saying, from where you're sitting and looking at policy formulation, its implementation and reform, they will be reformed. They will not go anywhere. That's my argument. We live to see. When the budget comes, we'll see whether I was right or wrong. Thirdly, somebody talks about, there's one quick thing I want to talk about food inflation. Yes, it's true. The Indians were saying kenke is too expensive. Do you know why kenke is expensive? It's because of where the raw materials for kenke comes from. The best maize in this country comes from Sisala land. From Sisala East, Sisala West. It comes from
I
know. Please. Good. The maize, almost all the maize, a good number. Sisala lands feeds them. So all the banku you are eating, the akule you are eating, the kenke you are eating, the kolong you are eating, almost already come from the basement Sisala East. Sisala East has one of the worst roads in the country. The president has promised to construct the Bole Bamboy Wa Hamley Road. He has also promised to construct the Wa Hang Fumu, Navrongo, Bolga road. If he does that route and he puts some money into those routes, it will improve agriculture there. It will make sure that maize and everything are able to evacuate it early, brings to market, and to bring down the cost of what? Kinky. Mr. President, please tell your road minister to improve the roads from Tumu to Walenjang, from Tumu to Sake, from Tumu to Chalo, from all this place, from Heng to Tumu. Once you're able to improve these routes, the price of Kinky will come down. My point is that we should invest. I'm right. Let's eat Ghana. Let's invest in our staple foods. Most of the staple foods that are based on maize are from Sisala land. Let's improve there. Let's improve the roads there. These prices will come down.
I take it that it's because we're in Ghana, man. So I take it that the Sisala mention is because of where you're coming from.
And also because they feed us. The Sisales feed us.
But and all of us are educated, whether it's MBA, MSc.
Yeah. They feed us.
And it's basic economic history.
Exactly.
That northern Ghana is the food basket of Ghana.
So whatever I say is a fact.
Over the last couple of years, averagely, and I'm sourcing the budget of the government of Ghana.
Yes.
That averagely, we have spent in excess between 400 to 600 million Ghana cedis on a policy called Planting for Food and Jobs.
Yes.
And so if Kinky is expensive, we have to ask the policy implementers, how come the raw materials for Kinky is expensive?
That's a very good question.
It's a comment, it's not a question.
Okay.
Now let me go to our labor expert. Mr. Game, at the end of the day, we all come with a number of suggestions, etc. Which fine line should we all toe so that everybody comes on board? Because I asked the question of Dr. Zato that, look, we all agree that the economy, even at one time, was linked to Sri Lanka. And so we need to give the opportunity for the president and his team some time to implement what will be the ever-changing policy for the economy. So how do we do that? How do we bring everybody on board?
Good news, from this dialogue is that unlike what my friend Solo tried to say, at the various committees, I think similar thing might have taken place, but in the committee I served on, I can tell you that we skipped going for lunch. We did not go for lunch at all.
What did you eat for breakfast?
I said breakfast.
No, lunch. Sorry. When we were supposed to go for lunch.
He said breakfast.
No, not breakfast.
No, he said breakfast. He said the component of the delicacies of food were imported. So that's what he was implying.
I wasn't even worried about that because we are not yet where we should be. So we'll have to continue like that for a while. But let me say this. In our committee, we did not go for lunch at all. It was not a ready-made answers that were imported into the room there. We extensively brainstormed, generated a lot of options, and reached consensus on what we were to submit to the plenary. And I can tell you that we have agreed that private sector, together with government, will ensure that, let's take examples of cereal, rice as an example, that we give 2 years timeline that government of Ghana will have to stop completely importing rice. We have to produce rice and eat our own rice in this country. In effect, people must be willing to go to the field. And I can tell you, people are producing rice quite in a large quantity in this country, but we are not patronizing it because it's easier for us to get import license, import the rice, and ensure that we make money privately for ourselves. The whole nation is suffering and bleeding as a result of that. We have agreed to do what Nigeria did, for instance, and Nigeria don't import rice again. So we've given timelines. The details, I'm sure, will be in the budget, and government will be the one receiving all the details. I think we can make it as a nation, regardless of the circumstance in which we find ourselves. When the president boldly said that he will fix the economy, I saw it on display when we were at the plenary sessions. Everybody was committed to it. At the end of the day, I think that the consensus that was presented at the plenary session was very clear. And I think if we implement, regardless of the difficulties and the challenges that we have in the economy presently, which is true, if we take ECG as an example, it's a complete albatross hanging on the necks of everybody in this country. And I'm not sure anybody is going to argue unnecessarily about doing some deep-seated reforms in ECG. Similarly, in Cocoa Board, there will be deep-seated reforms to be done in Cocoa Board. And not just that, the entire public sector, the entire system in Ghana, including even private sectors, have admitted that our level of productivity is very low, and so we need to up our game. And so that's why the committee reported, and indeed all the committees reported at the plenary session, that there has to be a deliberate effort to ensure that we inject a performance management system in Ghana and to ensure that productivity is at the highest level and that people are paid as much as possible based upon their contribution towards the growth of the economy and their businesses. So it's not going to be a child play, and I'm happy that we have a president that has the political will, has the support of virtually about 80% of the whole nation to enable them to perform. And so there'll be no excuse.
All right. So the question then to you.
I think I have the right to respond to
Yeah, you will respond. You respond. I know you have a lot of things to respond.
No, but you do realize that I also have the right to respond to whatever he says.
But you decided not to respond.
No. We were all given chance. We all came.
Yes.
Now, if you're all responding, let's all respond.
No, please.
Okay.
You would.
So my question then is, right now, it's no more child's play. The clarion call is that the president has to take her decisions.
Absolutely, I agree.
And from this economic forum, and I clearly love the examples that Solo has given, where if you're supposed to do supplies, you don't go 80% of the product from Hebei, China or something, or Thailand, and then you produce 20% here and that kind of thing. So what is the talk in the corridors of power towards making sure those things are done to empower the Ghanaian and thereby the economy?
Roland, it is not just in the corridors of power that we are having these discussions. Even in Parliament, the president kick-started the processes for us to engage in these discussions. So that is why when my brother was speaking, I was a bit surprised. Because if you followed the State of the Nation address, the president had cause to express concern about the huge bill that accompanies our imports. And he puts the figure at $2 billion annually in terms of what we produce. And that was why the president proceeded in the State of the Nation address to outline policies that he thought would help position Ghana for us to reverse that trend and keep that money in circulation within the country, for it to even have rippling effects on our macroeconomic stability. So he proposed policies, and I think on another platform, I had a cause to indicate that reading the State of the Nation address.
Please, you have 3 minutes. Continue.
One could say easily that the president was vested in the agricultural sector because he understands that that sector can position us to be able to at least drive or power our economy. I made that point. And he enumerated a number of policy interventions in that sector. So that initiative is there. Even poultry, that we import about 95% of poultry imports. The president made reference to it. And what he intends to do, the poultry to table initiative, the amount of money he wants to invest in that regard and how to empower young people to take up that particular initiative. Then he also spoke about AgriNext, 30,000 Ghanaian youth to be supported to farm. And he appreciated that the difficulty when it comes to farming has to do with access to farm implements. And he spoke about the institutionalizing and establishment of farm service centers where youth and people interested in farming can work in to have access to tractors, fertilizers, and so on. So if you read that State of the Nation address and you juxtapose that with the recommendations of the National Economic Dialogue, you will come to one conclusion, that most of the concerns that you express is captured in there. Now it has to do with implementation. whether we can effectively implement. So let us all give the government the necessary support to do so. But finally, you see, on the issue of taxes, my brother, in economics, everybody knows that, first year student of economics knows that economics has to do with how a society allocates its limited resources. That is in the face of scarcity. And one of the fundamental principles of such allocation has to do with choice. You agree? And when it comes to choice, you have what we call cost and incentive. And when you are proposing a policy, you have to look at the cost implication of that policy. Whether you are building a factory or whether you are introducing taxes. And in that cost, it is further divided to two. You have the actual cost of what you are going to do and the opportunity cost. That is the things you may not be able to do because you are going to do the other thing you have decided to do. That will give you your cost. So when you look at, the same principle applies to taxation. If the NDC has promised that it is going to wipe off certain taxes, the NDC knows the economic cost of wiping off those taxes. But the NDC has said that they are going to rationalize taxation. Rationalization means that some of the policies you introduce in terms of taxation, like what's the name? Betting tax and that of mobile money transaction tax. You are failing to appreciate that it had a negative implication on even that sector of growth. And here I make reference to digital expansion. So there's the need for you to introduce an incentive in that sector to expand growth there so that government revenue within that sector can grow. It is not just taxation. That is why government as an incentive has decided, please let me learn. That is why government government is deciding to take away that tax component so that it will constitute an incentive to that sector to propel. Then government will now look at other sectors of trying to rationalize and probably go and make up for the loopholes. We have not said anywhere that will not increase taxes. During the campaign, we never said that we will not introduce new taxes. But it has to do with strategic positioning and introduction of policies. And this government is committed to that.
So there are benchmarks.
Yes.
If, let's say, after a year, after this budget is read in March, this very March,
yes,
and the next one is read in November,
yes,
what would be your key indicators and the benchmarks for which you would want to see outlines or outputs? In which areas?
So, for instance,
key import substitution issues.
We are talking about Ghana importing close to $750 million worth of pharmaceutical products. A year by, that's 2026, I want to see it at least reduced by 20%, so that we know that gradually, we cannot achieve that in a year. We are importing close to $800 million worth of rice.
$800 million
worth of rice. And we have spoken about areas that are suitable for rice production. Mr. Ostengame said we produce a lot of rice here. So how come we are importing more rice? It takes a leader with that vision, with that political commitment to say that we are not bringing in more rice and that we are going to eat local rice. We are importing close to $250 million worth of furniture. What happened to the agaus, the pogas, and so on and so forth? We have to build their capacity. But you can
recommendations. Read the report.
We have a report. We have a president that even put his presidency on the line. I'll deal with Galamsey. Galamsey dealt with him. So it's not about what you put on paper. For paper, if you give me paper, I'll write all the problems of this country. But it's about the implementation. You understand? We are talking about we importing close to $2 billion worth of vehicles and these parts. What's the strategy? The former minister, Mr. Lanchamate, started something on the automobile industry. By assembly, we must move it and not further, because if you read our GTP, that's how come when we went to meet the president, John Mahama, we gave him the GTP. He must, everything is there. What they are discussing is there.
Also on paper. Emphasize that it's also on paper.
We would have it, but we started assembly here.
You have 30 seconds.
So what I'm saying is that when we're able to do import substitution, and by import substitution, we are not talking about people coming from Europe who consider themselves to be doing business with Ghanaians and taking our jobs. Now you go to Bato, a simple issue of Riversan. Chinese people are the ones doing it there. Go to Kantamanto. Early morning, the Chinese people are all speaking tree. Braha, braha, braha. What kind of life is this? Selling shoes to us.
They are retailing.
Retailing. What is the GBC doing? Go to circle. Bra, Chinese, say bra. I look at the visa, we are dead. They call it China. All of them are 10 Ghanaians. So these are the real issues. Let empower the Ghanaian. Don't let us be poor. Let us have that confidence that we can do big ticket business. And once the Ghanaian is prosperous, this issue of unemployment would be dealt with. Other than that, every time you go in for the foreigners and our economy will be where it is.
The way Solomon is talking, he wants a Lee Kuan Yew, John Dramani Mahama.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
When you listen to...
You are
right. Both NPP and NDC, the blueprints.
When you listen to people...
Nice blueprint.
We are making it look like this budget that will be ready tomorrow is like the second coming of Jesus Christ.
Yes, it should be.
That is what we are playing. My point is that we've seen this movie before. This is not the first budget of His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama. We saw one before. As the Salis will say, get for Limadi, Kamasla Kawasavo. It's not new. We've seen this movie before, and we saw how.
What's your point?
We've seen this movie before. I'm just saying, please, in whatever, let's temper expectations. Because again, we've seen this movie. Look, he's making a point, and I said again, I've put it on point here. I want the president to succeed. I want government to succeed. There are certain things to do. I've mentioned them, and I'm going to go back there. We are talking about import substitution. One best way to do import substitution is to go back to where the food comes from. Majority, if the best maize in Ghana comes from what? I'm going back to that point because it means a lot to us. Because every Ghanaian eats maize, goes back to Salaland. Improve, if you invest in the road network, you can stand from Bolu all the way to Tumu to Wallingham. If you improve the road,
I don't want to.
Okay. Then after this, we'll talk in loss. I'm telling you, if you invest in that road network, if you invest in that, look, talking about this, and somebody made some push. What's the name? Planting for food and jobs. It came back. Planting for food and jobs.
Somebody mentioned it was a big policy.
It's a good policy. Along the line,
do you think it was
along the line they were short. I'm going to the first. Look, I personally went into farming myself. I'm a farmer. I have a farm. I went because of that. The planting for food was one of the most brilliant policies of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Along the line, I would say we abandoned it. Along the line, we didn't do the best.
We abandoned it.
Along the line. But they are still, the framework is still there. We can invest in that. If we invest in so what I'm saying that all these things are not new. They are there. The principles were there. The frameworks are there. The ideas to do.
So your expectation
my expectation is that we'll do it. But I'm saying that when you look at this, and we're talking about taxation, and I made this point again. I'm going to make it. When you hear rationalization of taxes, it doesn't mean the taxes will be removed. And I said we should talk to the youth, the people that are in betting, the people that are in betting. It's true, I agree. Taxation is not only to make for revenue generation. Sometimes you introduce a tax to discourage consumption of certain goods. Sometimes you introduce a tax to encourage consumption of certain goods. I saw the introduction of the taxation on betting as to do more than one. Generate income and two what? Discourage betting. Now, the people, those who are in the betting expected to be removed, but we are being told to be rationalized. When you hear rationalization, what it simply means is this. What you simply says when you hear rationalization is that we will move it from one place to another place. Let's call that chokopuru kutopuru. Cut one place, chokopuru kutopuru. Take one place and go and cover one place, and then you leave it up in there. We are going to see chokopuru kutopuru policies in this budget. Simply means that the taxes and because you want to the need to raise revenue is very, very important. Chokopuru kutopuru. Purum is like a bag. Chokopuru kutopuru, and that's what we are going to do. You will see a chokopuru kutopuru budget.
You move it from
to B, and that is what you are going to happen with the taxes. You rename it. The taxes are not going anywhere; they will stay there.
All right. And thank you for your submissions as well. And what I do know is that, and it's good that all of us learns policy implementation. So when you have the policy formulated, you make sure you do key stakeholder engagement. And when you get the feedback from the stakeholders, it will then inform you how you implement the policy, or even if you have to implement the policy at all. Right?
No, I thought it was a question.
It's a comment.
Okay.
I think you take my comments or questions.
I thought I don't know which is which.
And then, Mr. Osengamen, thank you for joining us. We're grateful. And you sat through that. You said you didn't take lunch. All the breakout sessions, there was no lunch. But
they didn't package it for you to take home. That's not fair.
Again, so let me clarify. Solo said the breakfast he saw the things. Solo, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Austin Game. I wish you all the best. We're hoping that a year from today, many of these things would have achieved many successes. A greater percentage, at least, even if it's about 40%, we're grateful. I have a couple of comments. Bruce Foko has always been watching us, and so we're grateful. Obrin Ponkaba, my great friend in the Emirates, or the Emirates, says that, look, we have issues. The Closag and Co, have they even ended their strike? Their key issue, just come to the Emirates and see how they have even transformed their bare lands. They even reclaim the sea into land. You in Ghana, you have land, sea, and you make it destroy you. You bring foreigners to come and do what they have to do. And these are the things that we're talking about. Thank you, Lawyer Suheyeni, as well as Solomon Owusu, entrepreneur, politician as well. Dr. Zato, as always, I guess you have some responses all the time when you come from the Sisalaman.
Thank you.
And then also we had from Game and Game, Mr. Austin Game, that great expert when it comes to mediation, arbitration, labor, everything, negotiation. Thank you so much. But let's also tell you about, well, just in case you're looking for the perfect spot to unwind, enjoy great vibes, and also feast on amazing food, because you have to look no further than the L Lounge, Sakumono. Now, the L Lounge in Sakumono is your favorite ultimate hangout spot. So make sure you come to the L Lounge, Sakumono, and hang out. On Wednesdays, they have the games night with free chicken wings, with all wings that you want, with every drink also available, or cocktail. On Fridays, they have the mix mingle night. Great music, amazing people, and cocktails. And on Sundays, it is the traditional buffet, also accompanied by great dish and delicacies, and then soothing live band music. Remember, they're always located Community 14 Sakumono, Regiment Gray Estate. You can always call them for bookings and reservations as well. And the number is 055-524-2836 for reservations. We have cash out goes with a Shoku star 439 hash, and make sure that you are with us. Mama War of the Asogli State saying that she will cash out. We're hoping that you'll cash out. Danama Pokuya, my favorite. You're celebrating your birthday. Happy birthday to you. I've been a bit unwell today, so I haven't been my usual self, but speedy recovery to myself, but also to all of you. I wish you well for the day as well. We're taking a break. We'll be right back.
One bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior. You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
Download OneXBet app and enjoy the variety of sports anytime, anywhere. OneXBet.